Hello, everybody.
Hey, look, it's Ben with the umbrella.
How's it going? Hey, Ben. What's up?
Ben will be playing the part of Mary Poppins today.
That's on my lighting, trying to get things. Actually, this looks pretty good.
Yeah, you got to get that. You got to get that lighting game set up. Hopefully, welcome to everybody on the stream. Hopefully, everybody is hearing us and seeing us. Let us know if the audio is choice or if we sound garbled or anything like that. Just let us know. Absolutely. Before I welcome everybody who's on our panel here, I want to say welcome to everybody who is watching. Thank you all so much for joining us. And welcome to wherever you may be watching from, Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or all of the things. I'm so excited that y'all are here, and we're going to get right into it. But before we do that, we have an awesome team here today. We have quite a few experts in different areas that have joined the stream. So I bet y'all didn't know that we have.
Where are these people?
I don't know. Maybe they're hiding behind those boxes. I'm not sure.
I mean, Curdy, he's an expert, right? He's our European expert.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go left to right, top to bottom as I see people on my screen. We have joining us my brother David.
Hello.
David, who is the Portal employee extraordinaire, keeper of secrets, as I always like to joke. He knows all the things, so it's awesome to have him on the stream today.
Yeah, totally. I'm the keeper of all secrets. Trust me.
And then we have the one and only Captain Link.
Hey,
how's it going?
Hey, Ruby. Hey, who else did I see? Komorowski's on there.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to keep track of the chat here because we're and we'll talk about this here in a second. But I do want to finish. We said Portal Games US team, and Kurt, the Vitruvian gamer, he is part of our US Games team, but not based in the US. We're throwing a tricky one at you.
As I said, he's our European enforcer. Whenever we have problems with those Polish guys, we send Curdy over there to take care of them.
Yeah, it's like a 10-hour drive, and I'm at Ignatius' door.
Right there, laying down the law.
He shows up at his door and says, "Look, your cookie supply, it's gone. This doesn't happen." And then last but definitely not least, we have Ben, who is our resident Robinson expert, I would guess.
I mean, we've done pretty well. We've 2 for 2 on live stream. We've won. So,
I mean, numbers don't lie, you know.
That's right.
We'll see. We'll see in about an hour.
Yeah, that's true. We have time to test that statement. But so what I was going to say is welcome to everybody once again. We're so glad to have you here. We're going to be talking about some of the announcements, the things that Ignacy mentioned, some of the bombs that he dropped, because good grief, did he ever? And then we are also going to be answering any questions. So what I would like to say is, if you have questions, absolutely post those in chat. It's not like we're going to know how to answer them, but at least you will have the joy of posting questions. And that's the most important thing, you know? No, I'm just kidding. We might know the answers to some of these questions. We do have some information on not all of the brand new releases that Ignacy just mentioned, but we do have some information about the Book of Adventures. We have some information about the Egyptian Kings expansion. We have some information about the Wrath of the Lighthouse. Hype. I'm so excited about the Wrath of the Lighthouse. We have information about the new Neuroshima army, the new faction. What am I missing? $1 Million Script, all the things.
You know, Liquid 23 was just asking about update to the Neuroshima Hex for Android, or the app is what he's talking about. And that wasn't mentioned, but we're supposed to get the new app this year as well.
Yes, it is in the works.
Yep. So we will get a new Neuroshima Hex app this year.
Okay, fantastic.
The Robinson app, campaigning app, will be a thing. We always keep on saying we're going to play test it, and it just my email doesn't show me an email, so I'm very sad every day. One day, I'm sure you're the same boat with me. You need it.
So we have a lot to talk about. We have some huge new announcements. We have 3 new amazing games. We want to, like I said, talk about some of the products and the expansions that are coming out. I got some information about the Rise of Moloch if people have questions about that. But with that, what about those game announcements?
Yeah, huge.
So who saw? I know at the end of the stream we can talk a little bit about our guesses, because we have a Discord group where we kind of had some secret guesses as to what was being announced. Spoiler alert, we didn't do well.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much banking on a Cyberpunk game. I think Ignacy trolled me on that one. Cyberpunk's coming out. Ignacy likes thinking about things when they come out, like other things, and trying to coincide. Nope.
Yeah. I was kind of close-ish with. I thought it was a 51st State campaign thing that was going to happen, but it was Empires of the North, so which is great as well, of course.
Yeah. Very
Well,
great.
I knew that some big IP was coming. I don't know how I knew that, but I knew that some big IP was coming, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I guess, I will say this. We just had so the old Dune game, which, has had many iterations, has been redone, and we've got a new version. I guess that came out maybe 2 years ago at Gen Con, something like that. I don't remember. And that's cool. I love that game. It always ends up being telling a story, but it's not a great game. It's just not a really great game. But I love Dune, and I love the story that it tells every time we play it. However, they just now came out with Dune. What's that called? Imperium.
Imperium, yeah.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same IP. So it is from the movie, the card art and stuff like that. It's inspired by the movie. So all of that is there. And so this is the exact same IP as that. However, and that game is cool. I love that game. It's a great game. It's a neat mashup of a lot of different mechanics and stuff. But while that is that type of game, the story really doesn't end up being told. That's a great engine building, deck building, all those things. I love the game, but it's not the story being told. And that is what is going on with this Dune House Secrets, is that we're actually getting scenarios, and we're trying to, I don't know if we're solving mysteries or if we're, it's supposed to be inspired by detectives. So there's going to be different layers to uncover and whatnot. Yeah. So it's definitely, and it's a co-op type of situation. So it immerses you into the theme or the story itself, and you get to play the story, which I think is that's completely different from the other game. So it's definitely got space in that IP.
Yeah, well, and to me, that's what Dune is all about, is the story, right? I mean, it's in some people's mind the greatest sci-fi novel of all time, and so it makes sense to have a game that is story based and story driven. So definitely looking forward to get diving into the story of that, and I'm really excited about how Ignacy was talking about how we'll get new abilities and new things to do in between the scenarios. That's really cool. I think that's going to be a really neat add-on to the game. That definitely is something I'm looking forward to. So I think it's definitely going to be a great game, and it looks super slick. And I know it's something that Portal games, obviously we're all huge fans. So I think they'll do a great job with it. And so, I may be a little bit biased, but I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, he mentioned some stickers and story changing things. It seems like there's might be legacy aspects to this, which I think is really, really interesting.
I think it's very much you play this for many hours. I think it's one of those things that you play it and you're done. You can play it again to discover more in it. just like you can with Detective, like you can play the scenario and lose badly and then go back and play it again and try something else that you missed, right? But so those things are in there. But I think this is definitely kind of, that's the Detective thing. It's going to be it is more of a legacy or something like that. It's not something that you're going to go back to time and time and time again. However, I will say that, when I was young and Star Wars came out, we wanted to be all those characters. We wanted to experience that, and so we would pretend like we're fighting with lightsabers, and then they started bringing out toys, and we started using the toys to immerse ourselves in that. And it's kind of cool that we have the adult version of that, right? So we get to sort of role play, if you will, in the story of Dune, and I think that's kind of the cool thing about this.
We have two questions in chat that Curdy may be able to answer for us. Number one is my brother's very interested in 11, and do you know if the rules, if it has rules for scouting, formations, transfers, and hiring in it, like the computer game of Football Manager? And also, Curdy, is Dune a well-known IP in your neck of the woods?
I pre-ordered the other Dune game, Dune Imperium, so I wanted to read the book, and my local library doesn't have the book, which surprised me. So it is known, but I don't think it's a huge IP. Of course, maybe in the board game world and community, it might be well known, but not mainstream. That's for sure. About the 11 game, I don't know what changed, because I think 2 or 3 years ago I played this game. And many people are also asking if it is a re-implementation or something of Club Stories, this little game here, and it is. So the designer 3 years ago gave me 2 copies, one for me to do a video about it, and one for Ignacy, because the designer Thomas Jansen is from the Netherlands. He is a big Robinson Crusoe fan, and he designed this game with scenarios about football. And he knows that Ignacy is a big football fan, so he wanted him to have it and play it. And Ignacy apparently loved it quite a bit, because he wanted to publish it. Now, this was a solo game at first, and one of the main things that have been changed is that now this can be played with multiple players. So I'm very curious to see what happened there. How deep it will go, I don't know, but there are things that you can buy new players, you can buy scouts, you can buy trainers and all that stuff. But I'm very, very curious to see what Portal Games did with it.
Did the original have scenarios in it as well?
Yeah, exactly. You have scenarios. It starts with the basic scenario, the castaway scenario, where you are a nobody and you suddenly are the manager of a team, and you just don't want to be at the bottom of the league. That's just the first thing you want to do. And
so I'm wondering, like, it sounds like it's almost like, those computer games like, Football Manager and things like that. It's very much about like the admin side. And he said it was a strategy game. So does it have any of the aspects of gameplay, or is it all the back end, like management of football, where you're just kind of handling the club and you're not necessarily worried about the field at all?
You do worry about the field a little bit as well, because you have the phase where you're dealing with your club, with your finances, with buying new players, training them, making them better, and then you go and play a match. It's of course a little bit abstracted, but still it has both sides of the story of football. So it is the one that I'm looking forward the most. That's also why I put on my
oh, there you go.
Football outfit, because this is one that I'm really curious to see what happened with the design.
All right, so we've got some questions. We've got a question from James here, so we might skip forward a little bit in the outline. But do we? So let's talk a little bit about the Beast expansion, because you got a chance to play this already, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Right now, it's in prototype form. It's most of the ideas are hashed out, and they've been trying to balance it and stuff. But I played it and was super excited. So there's obviously now we're up to, I guess, 20 different factions for Neuroshima, and right now, if you ask me, I would probably say Steel Police are my favorite, and lots of people debate on what's their favorite.
Mhm.
But just one play of this, and I don't know how to explain it to you. I'm not saying that it's the most powerful faction or anything like that. I just really enjoyed playing it. And one of the things I want to explain to you about it, um, it the thematic bit about it is so freaking cool. Anyway, sorry, I'm going to geek out for a second because I really like this stuff. It was so good playing it. Anyway, the beasts themselves aren't really a faction. You think about animals in the wild, right? And these are like mutated, nasty critters who are super aggressive, right? So they eat each other too. Okay, so there's
Ah.
friendly fire in this one. So when you're putting things down, you have to think, okay, this guy is going to eat that guy, but hopefully this guy will be able to like hit one of the enemy units before he gets eaten by that other guy. So like you're putting it. Whenever I play Neuroshima Hex, I always feel like you got all these angles and it's really tight, and you're trying to figure out everything and at which time this thing's going to go off and all that. This is like another layer gets added to it, and it makes my brain go yes. So it's super cool. There's some other things about it, but that is the main thing that I think makes it really awesome. They also have a thing in there that they call rabies. So because they're wild beasts and whatnot, instead of poisoning someone, you can give them rabies. So which makes them
So great.
to where they can do friendly fire. So now suddenly, if you give a gunner rabies, he will shoot the first person he comes to, even if it's his own.
Oh wow!
So
Right?
here's what, just a fan expansion. I know this probably isn't going to be officially released, but you have one tile for each faction release that is rabies shot, and it can remove the effect of rabies on your units.
Well, what happens actually? So in poison, what happens at the end of at the beginning? So you poison someone, and then at the beginning of the next battle, they take 1 damage. That's how poison works. The way rabies works is you give them rabies, hopefully before they do anything, right? So that way they do friendly fire, and then at the end of the battle, the rabies goes away, but it does 1 point of damage to that unit.
Mm.
So then the next battle, you can maybe give rabies to people again, right? So it has a parting damage, and the rabies comes off of them each time. So it's pretty neat. It's a neat, it's a neat thing. They also have, this is something that we've seen limited, but there's push is a normal tile that almost every faction has a push, so you can push a marker away, a tile away. They have a pool in this. So so if there is a tile there's a space between you and a tile, you can actually pull them to you.
Very cool. Very
cool. The one thing that I will say about pool is they also get to change. In a push, they don't get to change their facing. When you pull them, they actually get to change their facing. So
that's risky.
Yeah. So
I was going to bring that question up.
Yeah. So we also had a question from the one and only Luke, hello, Luke. We're very glad that you're here. He wants to know, what is the one game that we are each looking forward to the most? So what's the most exciting announcement to each one of you? And let's do reverse player order. All right. So starting with Ben, let's go around this
for sure.
And 11. Okay. All right, Kurt.
Okay. Yeah. So mine is 11 as well. But wow, that's a tough choice though, because there's so many good things. The most one that I want to know more about is the circus one. What was it again? Disturbed Circus?
Dreadful.
Oh, Dreadful. I always say Disturbed.
Yeah.
Dreadful Circus. I'm very curious because that sounds like a game that's really the weight of it and the idea of it really is something that I probably would love. So curious to find out more myself.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think Dreadful Circus is the thing that and it's the one I probably know the least about, but I'm pretty excited for it. I don't know how big it is. Is this just a simple card game? What's the weight of it? He did say, you're grabbing little clues, right? So like he did say that it's for gamers. I'm not sure what it is going to be exactly, but I'm because I don't know what it is, I'm really looking forward to it. But I will say this, the things that I do know, I am really looking forward to Moloch and I'm looking forward to Beast, because both of those things, I think the Moloch expansion for 51st State is going to completely change 51st State. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to play with that. Yeah. I think it's going to revamp, and you know how much I love Niroshima anyway. So 51st State expansion and Beast, no doubt that's what I'm for. But like what I'm really curious about is Dreadful Circus.
Yeah, I think for me it's got to be Dune. I mean, that's just to me going to be a huge game, and I'm so excited to see how the Portal team implements diving into the story of Dune and the world of Dune in a gamified way. I think it's going to be really phenomenal. I'm really excited about that. I saw a lot of people in chat just saying, shut up and take my money. It's a Dune game from Portal Games, and so yeah, that's my feeling on it. I'm super excited about that one. I think it's going to be. But I, like you guys, am really intrigued to find out more about Dreadful Circus. Because Bruno Faiduti, how deep is the game going to be? I mean, it sounds super interesting. So those two, but Dune's got to be the one I'm most excited about.
For me, it's Wrath of the Lighthouse, and it's not even close. That is going to be so freaking awesome. I cannot. The solo variant for Empires of the North is so good. And Rise of the Empire was so exciting to kind of breathe new life into Imperial Settlers. And so Jonna has taken on this new challenge of creating a solo campaign mode for Empires of the North. And I am, as I said in the chat this morning, I'm over the moon. I can't wait. I can't wait till it gets here. I'm super excited to play it. She sent us a little bit of info on it. And it sounds like it's amazing. It actually leads well into our question from Ruby. So Ruby wants to know if Wrath of the Lighthouse will be replayable. So from the basic rundown that I read kind of from the sell sheet, it's basically this situation where you've been tasked to go out and kind of rebuild this empire and revitalize trade routes and discover things as you explore. And as you do that, you'll have 15 scenarios that you can either play. You can either play the scenarios one-off by themselves, which you can play that as much as you want, or you can play in a story mode where each scenario may have some type of special action or some type of achievement or event or thing that you can unlock, to where you'll actually read a paragraph of text and discover a little bit more about this kind of nebulous cult or sect of people that are kind of roaming the land, and you're trying to figure out what's going on with all of that. So the way that it has it set up is you'll get some new event cards that might affect gameplay. You'll get some new islands that you'll shuffle in that will affect gameplay. And then you'll have scenarios that progressively take you through a story that will kind of change the gameplay as you go and introduce new rules and introduce different types of events and things like that. So it kind of sounds like, to me, like it's a version of the solo mode from the base game, kind of on steroids, given some really interesting narrative aspects. And is, for that very reason, by far the most exciting announcement that Ignacy made today. And that is a objective statement that has no room for subjectivity.
All right. Yeah. One thing that I did hear about the other scenario thing is that maybe there was some translation, some lost in translation stuff on the previous thing. And I want to let everyone know, because we all know and take it for granted now, but Tyler is on the team, right? And Tyler has made huge improvements in what we're doing with translation and stuff like that. So obviously most of what we do is in these kind of scenarios are developed in Polish and whatnot, but Tyler has been doing all the translation and has been given free reign on a lot of the stories, the rule books, all these things, so that we no longer have to deal with that. He's doing a phenomenal job. So you will see definite improvements on that. I know that we've done, it's kind of been hit or miss on certain things. And every once in a while you run into something you think, I think I know what they meant here. But now that's not even a question now, because we've got Tyler on the team.
Yeah, Luke answered his own question, and his answer was Dune for him as well, with Circus and 11 tied for second, and $1 Million Script in a close third. $1 Million Script is one that we haven't really talked a lot about, but that game I think is going to be, really interesting. New type of game from Portal Games, a party game. We've never seen that from Portal Games, but this one is really, really interesting. It's a Hollywood director who is really into board games and had this great idea for a party game, and they decided they were going to play it and test it out, and they played it. And then they played it again, and then they played it again, and they played it again, and they were like, okay, we got to put out this game. And so, Luke has had a lot more experience with $1 Million Script than I have, but I think that one's going to be a real blast once people are able to get back together and get back around a table and get a chance to play that game. I think that's going to be a really fun, really just engaging party game for people to play, which will be an interesting addition to the Portal Games catalog. That's a new thing for Portal Games, but I think it's going to be a good one as well.
Yeah, I got a question for you on that. Will we be able to get Uncle Willie to play it with us? I mean, how accessible do you think that game is to people who live in caves or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two things.
You always have the family gets together and that kind of thing. Can you get the whole family to play?
Yeah, you absolutely can. One of the great things about the game is you have one person who's the producer, and the producer has things that they are looking for, and Luke just answered the question as well. Yes, everyone can play this game. The producer has certain things that they like to see in a movie, and they might, one of the things might be they really like casting their niece in the movie, or one of the things might be like they really like car chases, or they really like and it could be these three random things, but different people come up with different script ideas, and the producers say, okay, I like this part from this script, and I like this part from this script. Now everybody come in and give me a different script idea. So yeah, you're just coming up with ideas basically for a movie script, and your movie script could be Casablanca. It could be whatever. It doesn't have to be you could come up with whatever ideas you want to come up with, and so the producer then at the end decides, okay, this is the one I like the best. That's the winner of the thing. So it's very subjective. You don't have to have any movie knowledge. You don't have to have any specific you don't have to be a film buff or anything to be into this movie. It's very accessible for everyone.
Uncle Willie's script is always about going to get beer at the store.
And one of the producers may really love getting beer at the store, so he might be like, you know what, I love this. And so there's an element of role playing when you're the producer, because you have to be like, oh, you know what, I love the idea of there being a mysterious woman in this movie or whatever, like so there's an aspect of role playing to it. But Uncle Willie's idea may be something that the producer loves, and it may be something that the producer really, really, really likes. So,
See, that's the pitch right there. You tell them, all right, check this out, right? We go to the store, we purchase beer, then we take it home. And then the producer's like, oh, yeah, give me more. Here's the twist. We drink it.
Love it.
That means there's a sequel.
That's right.
It's called The Hangover. And it's already been released. Okay, sorry. We do have questions, and I would like to make sure, so we need to cut it off like for sure in about 15 minutes. So we can't go past that because we need to have enough time to get over and switch everything over, but we do want to make sure that we answer some of the questions. So let's see here. We have questions. Most of them I think have been answered. So Tropical Penguin, how many crowdfundings have actually been announced for this year? So I know Book of Adventures is going to be Kickstarter. Was 11 Kickstarter as well?
It's going to be
I
crowdfunded.
think it was.
Yes.
Well, I say Kickstarter. They're doing the new, like the pre-order system. Okay. So I guess 2 maybe. Okay. And then,
well, I could, there's going to be, at least a couple.
You might have a book, right? A book, Tell Stories 3, right?
Ben, you're gonna have to fix your audio, brother.
Is it bad?
Yeah, you sound like you are behind. You're inside of a closed phone booth, and we're outside.
I don't know. I tried tweaking it a little bit.
yeah, I was trying to. I don't know how to change the settings on that. We're testing out some new technology, and we figured why not do it at PortalCon. It works out great so far, but I don't know about the individual level control as much yet. But we actually have a question that leads in perfectly to something that we wanted to talk about, which is what adventures would we like to see in the Book of Adventures? And I definitely want to talk about the Book of Adventures and the Rise of Moloch before we hop off. So what adventures are y'all most excited that you already know about, or what adventures would you like to see?
Well, I'm a little bit biased because there is one of mine in there. So,
oh no way!
And I cannot wait to see what the end result is because they are being developed, of course. The people who got these great ideas, because I saw the other ones when they announced the 10 winners, and wow, there are some jewels in there, and I thought mine was kind of basic compared to them. But I'm very proud, and I'm really curious to see what they've done with mine. So, yeah,
that's very cool. Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. It's as a big fan, of course, it's like a dream come true.
Dutch Yoda's didn't make it. Oh no.
Yeah, I see someone now, Johan Drubel, calling me a stuffer, which is like a bragger. Well, I'm sorry, but
one of my scenarios got in. Humble brag.
Me and Dutch Yoda have our adventures put into the Book of Secrets. I think it's the Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah. Well, so I think it's really exciting. So I've been able to see a few of the scenarios, and they are really interesting and unique. I'm excited for all of them. I mean, they're so great. I think one that we're actually going to play in a little bit right after this, we're going to play one of the new scenarios from the Book of Adventures that is like a zombie survival scenario. And I think that's probably been my favorite out of the ones that I've seen so far. There's also there's a few different ones that they sent over. There's one about where the island has been kind of desecrated by these thieves, and these creatures of the deep have awakened, and the world's slowly sinking. So you have to deal with tiles that are sinking into the ocean, and then you can build a floating camp where you can float around on the different tiles. That one's also nice. Really cool. There's one where you have to kind of revitalize the island by planting a garden, and water and thirst becomes a thing because they decided this game isn't quite hard enough. We're going to make you deal with thirst as well, and a mirage, and your camp might just move around because you didn't drink water. So there's all kinds of really exciting scenarios coming out in the book, and it's, I don't know, just aesthetically, it seems like aesthetically, mechanically, this is going to be the one-stop shop for Robinson fans of having just a complete experience, because they're going to have all of the original scenarios in the game with with varying difficulty levels, right? So you can play an easy version of the starting scenario, you can play a more difficult version of the starting scenario, you can play harder versions. They're going to have the 10 contest winners, and they're being, you said they were being developed. Some of these, I mean, the artwork and the way that these scenarios are being, presented is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, they're absolutely beautiful. And then also it's going to have, some of the expansion scenarios. So if you have this book, and it's double-sided, right? So the scenario will take up the entire page and you just lay it out. It just seems like it's going to be an amazing, amazing kind of end cap on your Robinson collection.
Yeah, I think that especially for people who haven't played Robinson Crusoe before, they hear Robinson Crusoe and they hear it's really hard, you die all the time. That's what they hear, right? But what you don't understand is that you can have completely different game experiences just based on these different scenarios. So it's not Robinson Crusoe. I mean, that's the name of the game. It ought to be called The Island of Change or something. I mean, it's because like the only thing that is the same are the island tiles and the basic mechanics. But then every scenario introduces new mechanics or new ideas, and it really makes each experience unique. So much so, I mean, and we'll see that soon. We're going to be playing the zombie thing, and that is, yes, it's Robinson Crusoe, and it feels like, oh, I know these mechanics, I know this basic mechanic, but the scenario just takes you someplace else. You have different goals, different ideas behind it. So it's really neat that you can take a basic game. It's almost like you're changing the theme, but it completely changes the game experience each time.
Yeah. I would love to see somebody who just went and is just this massive fan of the book, who just goes and buys the game on Nothing Alone, and he's like flipping through. What page is King Kong on? I missed that.
Yeah.
It really is interesting though, because it's like you said, it's a game system that can adapt in a huge way. I mean, in the 3 scenarios that we got a chance to look at, and I need to let Ben talk because Ben is the Robinson expert.
Yeah, well, the mic is bad. You're gonna be talking, right? So,
well, I mean, so the 3 scenarios that we looked at, and the 4th one that y'all are playing, there are new actions introduced. There's new objectives. There's new enemies or things that you're having to deal with. In one of the scenarios, there's thirst. In one of the scenarios, the tiles are disappearing. In one of the scenarios, you can pick your starting item and it's in a backpack. And if you drop it, you might have to leave it where it is, which is hugely different, because you get to start the game with a built invention that might kind of direct your strategy. But oh yeah, you might lose it and have to try and go back and get it before the island sinks. There's all these different scenarios that affect the gameplay in different ways. But the nice thing about it is that the basic, the core of the game stays the same, and you just have these really interesting twists. It's like all these mini expansions with a base game system. It's very cool. So we have about 7 minutes before we have to hop off. So we should briefly mention the Rise of Moloch expansion. And I know we probably missed something. I apologize. There's so much to talk about. Petty officers, we missed that. We didn't really talk much about we talked about the new games a little bit. We didn't talk as much about the circus game, but there's just so much to talk about. There's too much happening.
I think we're all interested to know more.
Yeah.
Yes.
and right now,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so the Rise of the Moloch expansion is going to it's going to change the gameplay in a pretty significant way, like you were saying, Eric. So the Rise of the Moloch expansion is basically going to be it's going to introduce so it's a normal expansion like you'd normally see. And it's the first one since 2019. So I'm really pumped for it. But it was designed by Joanna Kajanka, and it throws some of the concepts of 51st State on its head in a pretty big way. And so to kind of set the scene, you've got this harsh new reality that everybody has been exposed to, right? The world that you remember, the world that stories were told about is just complete history, because now it's just this desolate landscape that was created by Moloch, who you are about to get to meet. Because he or it has been laying, dormant for all of these years and allowing us to kind of gain some confidence foolishly. And we're about to get a cold splash of AI robot water on our face as all of these new machines come up to destroy you. But, Mullet kind of underestimates the players, because we've shown that we can survive and kind of, carve out an existence in this desolate landscape. And this one, like I said, kind of introduces a semi-cooperative variant to 51st State, because while you are trying to absolutely still do the same thing, you're trying to get the most points, survive, expand as much as you can. There are also these new machine cards that come in the game that are going to be attacking everybody. So every round, there's two new phases to the game, where there is I think it's an attack phase and a deployment phase. And you have a different number of machines placed out on the board based on how difficult you want the game to be. It can be kind of variable. And every round, the machines are going to attack everybody. And it's a really negative effect, like, raise 2 cards or get rid of all of this stuff. Like, the machines hurt you in a big way. So players are incentivized to, yes, try and maybe fight amongst each other a little bit, but also you've got to fend off the machines because they'll hurt you in a big way, but that might also help your opponent. So it's this constant push and pull of what do you want to do to kind of fend off the machines. And there's 2 options of what you can do. You can just raise the machines because they have a defense value. So you can raise them like any normal building. You get a point, the machine goes away. Or you can hack the machines. And this is where the game gets really interesting to me, because there are these machines that all have drastically powerful abilities. They have a resource cost up in the top left that also indicates the type of thing that they do, right? So if you have a machine that it's going to have a resource cost to hack it, like gas, and I don't know, a brick or something. That gas indicates that the flip side of that card does something using gas. So you have a little bit of knowledge about what's on the other side of the card. If I've got this engine where I'm just really generating tons of guns, and I see a machine that I can hack using guns, that's probably going to line up with my strategy. And you can, as an action, hack these machine cards, and that card goes into your hand, and it's always a cost of 1 to play these cards out. So they're really powerful cards that always have a contact value of 1, and you have a little bit of knowledge about what they use on the flip side of the card. So it absolutely just changes the game in a pretty drastic way, and also, like I said, introduces that semi-co-op variant, which is very different from what you see in the base game, right? You're not trying to work together at all in any way. Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited about it, and I've gotten to play it once, and I was destroyed. 4 was mopped.
If you would attack more, maybe you would do better.
That's the problem. I did attack, but I attacked the machines, and then Joanna was like, okay, well, I'm going to just develop my engine and not worry about the machines because you're worrying about them.
She can probably beat you in your sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not pretty. It was not a pretty sight at the end of the game, but I got to play, and it was a blast.
Nice.
Tropical Penguin says, and I think we can all agree that they wish every other publisher would follow the way Portal Games is interacting with their fans. The announcement show was really cool and an example for others to use as well. I think we can all agree. PortalCon is awesome. The announcements were awesome. Hearing about everything that's coming up this year and everything we have to look forward to, I think was really, really cool. As an employee of Portal Games, I was just sitting there watching the screen going like, what?
Yeah.
And so I think that, once again, I'm biased, but I think PortalCon was definitely a very, very cool way for us to interact with Ignazi and to interact with Portal Games and hear about what's coming up this year.
Definitely.
I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. And so I know we are not stopping. We're going to keep going. We've got lots of exciting stuff right after this. Ben and Eric are going to be playing the Robinson zombie scenario, which is going to be fantastic. We're about to stream that. Right. Yeah,
No.
they're going to die.
We won. So
After that, that's going to be, we have a 2-hour window for that. So hopefully we'll be able to show off plenty of that scenario. And then right after that, David and myself are going to be playing the new Egyptian Kings expansion at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock our time. But we do need to probably go ahead and wrap this up, unfortunately, just because I need to make sure that I have enough time to switch over and get everything set up so we can stream this and be ready to go for everybody. So thank you all so much for hanging out. We are super excited about all of the announcements. The biggest problem we're going to have is finding a way to entertain ourselves until they're all released. But we're so excited about all the announcements, and it's going to keep on going with the next stream. So absolutely hang out with us, and tell your friends, share, like, retweet, all the things. We're going to be back in about 15 minutes with a play of, do y'all know what's the scenario name actually? Robinson zombie scenario
Zombie.
demo.
I don't really recall. I do know that this is the same guy who wrote the Neverland Adventure for Robinson Crusoe.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, we're about to be with you back. We're going to be back with you in about 15 minutes. So absolutely hang out, grab a drink, take a break, come back with us, and then we'll be streaming in 15 minutes or so. But thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out, and we're going to sign off.
See you all. Bye.